If you've followed my work over the years, you know that there's one core thing that I bring to this work of human design, personal development, spiritual expansion. And it's the reminder that you are the expert on being you. You are the expert on being you. It's not about finding the perfect system, the right chart. It's not about the reader. It's not about human design. It's not the teacher. It's not the person online with the most beautiful graphic and the absolute most masterful marketing. The expert on being you is you, and the expert on being me is me. And along the way, we forget how to do that, and human design helps us find the map. And that matters because human design can be incredibly clarifying. It can also become just another place where we outsource our authority. And so using discernment, not treating it like a magic bullet, but like a tool. We have to learn our type. We have to learn our profile. We get to learn our gates, channels, centers, variables, our incarnation cross, even our digestion, environment, all of it. And suddenly the chart becomes the new rule book, and we begin to just be absorbed into that one note instead of using it to expand us out into our lives. And so my approach and what I teach is called human design assisted life coaching. And that word assisted is important because human design is the map, but it's not the whole work. It's not the final truth. It's not the magic bullet. It's not here to tell you or me who we are in a way that overrides the actual lived experiences we have. Instead, human design is here to collaborate with us in our wisdom that we've gathered through blood, sweat, tears, elbow grease. It's a map, it's a mirror, it's a language. It's a way of understanding ourselves without outsourcing our own innate wisdom. And so the coaching piece matters because insight by itself is not transformation. Right? There's that saying that knowledge is power, but I think applied knowledge is power. What are we doing with all this insight? I call this my healed enough philosophy, because you can know your design and still abandon yourself. You can understand your conditioning and still be stuck in a need, a feeling like you have to perform and not be the true you. You can know your authority and still let fear, urgency, guilt, people-pleasing run your life and make your decisions in a reactive way, playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And so my work is not just about the analysis. It's about taking the analysis and putting it into action. And that looks different for everyone, but everyone has a path, and human design helps us clarify what that path can look like. And so it's not reckless action. It's not forcing. It's not productivity, workaholism culture, wearing a spiritual costume. When I say action, I mean it more like integration, taking all of that stuff that you've learned, shadow work, breath work, inner child, IFS, spiritual expansion, the chakras, and giving it a place in the world. Because at some point, the insight stops being valuable until we begin applying it. So the question can be, am I learning about myself for the sake of learning about myself? Or am I learning about myself so I can live and show up differently in this world in a way that's more satisfying, in a way that feels more successful, in a way that feels more peaceful? That's where human design becomes useful. Not as a personality label, right? Oh, I'm a manifesting generator, so X, Y, and Z. But as a living experiment. And I love it. We don't have to believe anything about human design to begin experimenting with it. We get the belief along the way by getting real feedback from the world. One main question that comes up is, what is the difference between generators and manifesting generators? Over here we have a generator chart just as an example, manifesting generator over there. Because these two types are deeply connected, both have defined sacral energy, both are designed to respond, both are here to engage with life through energy, satisfaction, and the body's innate intelligence. That's kind of true for all of human design, but here they overlap quite a lot, a generator and a manifesting generator. But they're not exactly the same. So when we flatten the difference, a lot of people end up either trying to become more linear than they are, or they try to become more chaotic than they are. So let's slow it down. In human design, generators and manifesting generators are both sacral beings. You can think of them as solar beings, like solar-powered beings. That means that their life force, I'm a manifesting generator, so my life force, my work, creativity and creative power and capacity for sustained devotion are connected to the sacral center, the life force center. And that's that red square right there. Understandably, the sacral is not mental. It does not usually speak in long paragraphs. It does not make a PowerPoint presentation defending its answer. It doesn't always need a 5-year plan. The sacral is more like it's more primal than that. It speaks in instances. It's the body's yes or the body's no. It's the sense, the felt sense of expansion or contraction, that hum, the pull, that feeling of aliveness, the or the beneath it all. The mental noise quiets and we begin to listen to the body's yes or the body's no, what's correct for us in that moment. For both generators and manifesting generators, life tends to open through response. So getting into life and getting real feedback from the world, not theoretical feedback. Also, not all generators are a sacral authority. 50% of the planet has an emotional authority, but that includes manifestors and projectors. And so it gets messy and it's easily understood. Responding does not mean being passive. It does not mean waiting around, sitting on the bench for something to happen. It does not mean that you can't want things, initiate movement, build a life, or have big ambition. A lot of generators and mani-gens that I know have big ambitions. Responding means that your energy is designed to meet life, not in theory, but actually meeting life. And so something shows up, a question, a person, an opportunity, a frustration, a desire, a problem, a pattern, a pull intuitively, and your body tells you whether there's energy for you that's there. It's not about being helpless. It's not about outsourcing our decision-making to some greater force. It's about listening. It's about being honest. It's about being connected to the body's innate wisdom. And it speaks through ahas and ahs in the sacral. And so the generators and the manifesting generators path is not usually about forcing life from the mind, but it's about noticing what life is already asking about your energy, about your movement. Where is the yes? Where is the no? Where is the spark? Where is the frustration? Where is the body leaning forward? Where is it leaning away? Where is the body already done? Where is it satisfied? This is where both types begin in the world. Every single generator type, whether it's a pure generator or a manifesting generator, has a defined sacral. That's our clue that there's something about taking action and being immersed in the world that might be helpful. A classic pure generator has what I would describe as a more steady, direct, kind of sustainable relationship with mastery, doing things well, mastering them. Pure generators often have this kind of beautiful capacity to go deep, to stay with something, to build, to refine, to become excellent through repetition, devotion, and through an embodied engagement, not a performative one, but actually engaging with life, sinking our teeth in. And so when a pure generator is lit up by the right work, by the right relationship, the right practice, the right group, the right path, the right format, there can be this grounded current of life force that makes them seem unstoppable. And so it is not necessarily flashy. It's not always fast with a pure generator, but when it's done in alignment with the person's design, with their energy, with their knowing, with their mind-body connection, it's powerful. And so a generator, a pure generator who's in alignment can become almost magnetic through their satisfaction, through how much they love their life. There's something deeply nourishing about someone doing what they are here to do and letting their energy be fully used by something that actually deserves it, a project, a mission, a goal, a purpose. That is a key phase for generators. The question, does this thing deserve my life force, or is it drama? Is it noise? Because generators can have an enormous amount of energy, but that does not mean that their energy is just disposable, on tap for anyone to use. A lot of generators are conditioned to be useful, to define their worth based on productivity. Right? They're praised for being dependable, productive, helpful, consistent, hardworking. The one who shows up, the one who is absolutely dependable and gets it done, the one who works long hours, who can be counted on. It's easy after a while or a lifetime to be taken for granted in that, to think that it's a given. And while there is beauty there, it's also a trap for a lot of pure generators, right? Because a generator can slowly become loyal to things that simply drain them. Because they're good at enduring, it doesn't mean that it's right for them. And they can stay in the wrong job, the wrong relationship, the wrong rhythm, the wrong obligations, the wrong commitments, because they can technically keep going, but it doesn't mean that it's a satisfying, meaningful experience. It doesn't mean that it's a good use of all that life force energy. But technically surviving is not the same as being satisfied. And so for generators, frustration is often a signal that the life force is being used in a way that does not match the body's truth, capacity, or rhythm. So it is about listening. And not every frustration means to quit immediately. That would be too simplistic perhaps, but the frustration is information. It's not punishment. It's certainly not evidence that we're a terrible person. That's a little dramatic, but instead it's just information that maybe we are in someone else's frame, in someone else's conditioning. We might ask the question, where am I pushing from the mind? Where am I hoping the mind will solve this for me instead of the body? Where am I saying yes when I really want to say no? Where am I trying to prove my worth through my usefulness instead of my beingness, right? You're a human being, not a human doing. Where am I confusing commitment with self-abandonment? Generator energy is sacred because it literally is what builds the world. That sacral energy, it creates things, it manifests in a way, the idea into form, things we can touch. But it has to be connected to the right things. The generator question isn't, can I do this? Often, yes, you can do this. But the better question is, do I have capacity? Do I have the real energy for this? Do I want to do this? Is this a match for me? Is this a yes? And even deeper than that, we might ask, does this make me more alive, more expansive, more fully expressed over time? Manifesting generators, on the other hand, share all of that sacral, the in common. Because they're also sacral beings, 100% of manifesting generators on the planet have a defined sacral center, but the manifesting generator energy has a slightly different texture, we might say. They're often described as moving fast, nonlinear, multi-passionate. Multi-potentialite is a word that was hot a few years ago. They're efficient and they're designed to find shortcuts, better ways of doing things. And there's often a quicker movement, almost a kinetic movement between the response, experiment, the adjustment, and the action. And so, if generators, pure generators, often deepen through a more step-by-step process, the manifesting generator often learns by moving, by diving in, by getting their hands dirty, hands-on approach. They may need to try something before they know whether it is correct. They might skip steps. I, as a manifesting generator, am always looking for shortcuts, and then come back and fix what matters. They might move in bursts of energy, a big output. They might crumble over things that other people wouldn't even think twice about. They might look inconsistent from the outside when internally there's a very real intelligence unfolding, a pattern that's emerging for them that, again, you're the expert on, you, only you might be aware of it. So the Mani-Gen's energy can feel like it has multiple tabs open all the time, but not necessarily in a broken way, but instead in a multidimensional way. It's more like a life force that's designed to synthesize and alchemize, to move, to pivot, to sample, to respond quickly, to refine through motion, right? Very sacral way of being. And this is where a lot of us manifesting generators get wounded, because many MGs are told that they're too much. They are too chaotic. They move too fast. They operate in a way that is scattered, inconsistent. A manifesting generator might hear that they're too impatient, they're hard to track, they don't make sense. They're interested in too many different things. They have that split focus, that desire to multitask. There's a lot of negative, kind of quiet conditioning that happens for the manifesting generator. They're told to pick one path, to finish every book that they start, to commit to one niche, to slow down, to explain themselves, to become more linear, to become easier to understand for non-manifesting generators. And yes, sometimes manifesting generators do need more discernment, do need a different pace. Sometimes they need to learn the difference between a true sacral response and then kind of a mental, psychological restlessness. Sometimes they need to practice completion, communication, and not necessarily burning things down just because the energy changed, but instead that discernment. They do not heal by becoming generators, right? The goal of a manifesting generator is not to be more like a pure generator, and vice versa. Manifesting generators do not become more aligned by forcing themselves into a life that requires them to move in one straight line forever. Manifesting generators, the work is often in learning or unlearning how to honor the speed without becoming reckless, to really lean into some of the juicy energy of moving fast, but not to be reckless with it, and certainly not to cause collateral damage in the people around us. How to honor change without abandoning responsibility. How to honor many interests without fragmenting our lives and our life force into 1,000 unfinished beginnings and little pieces. How to let themselves pivot without turning every pivot into a shame spiral. Why can't I finish things? I'm too scattered. This is ADHD, blah, blah, blah. This is why action over analysis is especially important for manifesting generators and why so many MGs get stuck in healing. Because many of us cannot think our way into clarity from this kind of freeze state. We often find clarity through contact with life, trying the thing, having the conversation, testing the experiment, making the offer, entering the room, starting the conversation, making the first draft, and then letting the body, the mind, the whole system respond in real time to real feedback instead of theoretical feedback. But this does not mean that chasing every spark is the way to go, right? Because that's still the shadow. The aligned manifesting generator is not just, I do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. That's probably a dysregulated way of being in the world for anyone. And no one's asking for that. And most of the time, people don't really appreciate when they get the sense that we're just going to do whatever we want. It's not freedom. That's the impulse with a different costume on. And so the aligned manifesting generator learns to listen to the sacral beneath the excitement. We might ask, is there energy here? Is there satisfaction available here? Is this a real response, or am I trying to outrun my boredom, my grief, my fear, my limitation, my lack of clarity? Is it busy work? Is this a pivot from truth or a pivot from discomfort? Right? Am I running from something? That distinction changes so much because at the most basic level, generators and manifesting generators are both here to respond. Right? We're both sacral beings. Both are here to notice what lights us up and what drags us down. Both generators and manifesting generators can experience frustration when they're misaligned. And both need to stop making decisions purely from the mind. That's the conditioning. That's the big conditioning that all the types are up against. It is trying to make a decision with the mind. It's like trying to use a phone to hammer in a nail. You can do it, but it's not what the phone is designed for. Generators often have a steadier, more focused, more sustained energetic rhythm, while manifesting generators often have this faster, nonlinear, more hybridized rhythm, both initiating and acting, responding and informing. Generators may find satisfaction through depth, mastery, devotion, and kind of staying with the right things. Where on the other hand, manifesting generators find satisfaction through the opposite, through movement, through variety, through risk, through synthesis, through efficiency, and through letting the path kind of reveal itself through experimentation, trial and error, hands-on approach. Generators often need permission to stop doing what drains them, where manifesting generators often need permission to stop shaming themselves for jumping around a bit more than the culture is comfortable with. Generators may need to ask questions like, am I using my energy on something that actually deserves my gifts, my time, my energy? Manifesting generators, they might ask, am I allowed to move in a way that does not make sense to everyone else? Can I stop asking for permission to do things my way? All of that said, both need to remember, all the generators, manifesting generators, need to remember that our design is not our excuse. If we're into this stuff, it becomes our responsibility, but it's not an excuse. It's not a chance for us to say, oh, I can't do that because I'm a manifestor, or I don't do that, I'm a projector. Maybe that's true, but have we truly felt into that? Is there a yes or a no there? This is where I sometimes disagree with the way human design is talked about online, because it's very easy to turn our type into a stereotype. Generators are not boring worker bees. Manifesting generators are not these chaotic commitment phobes. Projectors are not these fragile advisors waiting around to be chosen. Manifestors are not selfish lone wolves. Reflectors are not these mystical kind of weather vanes that have no agency. They're just like a mirror. All of that is just a stereotype. It's a dumbing down. Knowing our type in human design, manifestor, manifesting generator, it's sort of like just knowing your sign in the zodiac. It's one piece of the puzzle, but it's not everything. Every type has depth. Every type has conditioning. Every type has wisdom. Every type has a distorted expression and a mature expression. So when I work with generators and manifesting generators, I'm not just asking, what type are you? I'm asking, how have you been conditioned to use your energy? And does that conditioning serve you and your dreams and your purpose and your mission in this life? That's the deeper question. Because a generator raised in an environment where love came through achievement might become addicted to being needed, to being praised, to thinking that their entire worth is built and determined. And this is a lot of people. We all know them. I've been one of them. Maybe you are too. But our worth as a human, our value as a being is not determined by our productivity. But conditioning can make us think that. A manifesting generator raised in an environment that punished change might become ashamed of their own aliveness. A generator who is praised for being low maintenance might stop listening to their own inner yeses and nos, and they might fall into patterns of people-pleasing, codependence, enmeshment. A manifesting generator who was called scatterbrained, ADHD, or pathologized for their way of being might over-explain every move that they make, looking for permission, validation, acceptance. A generator may stay too long. A manifestor may stay too short. A generator might confuse loyalty with truth. A manifesting generator might confuse movement with freedom, or agency, or sovereignty, or autonomy. And none of this is about blame. It's like the map. If the map shows a detour, it's not the map's fault. If the map is wrong, it means something on the path has probably changed. The map itself is static. And so it's about awareness. And human design gives us a way to identify our conditioning. The coaching work helps us actually interrupt that conditioning, because it's not enough to just know there's a problem. How do we do that problem? That's the coaching part. And so, for a generator, action over analysis might look like no longer saying yes just because you have the capacity to do it, right? It's like, I've got the afternoon off, and someone's like, hey, can you help me move? And it's like, well, I guess I got to help you move because I got the afternoon off. That might not be the right move. It might look like leaving the committee, the role, the job, the friendship, the pattern that has been feeding on your energy or your life force for years, for your whole lifetime. It might look like choosing satisfaction over obligation, pleasure over demand. It might look like trusting the small no that you feel before resentment has time to kick in. It might look like building something slowly and refusing to rush just because everyone else is addicted to speed. For a manifesting generator, on the other hand, action over analysis might look like finally letting yourself create the hybrid thing, the brand new thing, the thing that no one else understands except for you, the thing that does not fit neatly or easily into one category. Manifesting generator is a hybrid. The career that combines three worlds, the offer that is part coaching, part teaching, that's me, part art. The life that moves in seasons instead of a 5-year plan. The rhythm that looks strange from the outside but feels honest from the inside. It might also look like finishing what still has energy and releasing what truly does not have energy around it anymore. Not ghosting your own life, not calling avoidance my new alignment, but truly learning to distinguish between a true no from the body and the discomfort of being seen through to completion, right? Because sometimes we say no because we don't want to. Sometimes we say no because we don't understand it. Sometimes we say no because we don't think we'll finish it. And that is maturity, saying no and owning that no and not feeling shame around it. And this is where self-acceptance becomes more than just this kind of soft field of ideas. Self-acceptance is not just saying, this is how I am, and expecting the world to work around every unexamined pattern that we have. Real self-acceptance has teeth. And when we're fully locked into our design, when we're allowing it to inform our lives, that type of self-acceptance, right, where we're not a fish trying to climb a tree, or we're not a bear trying to get into a little mouse hole, but instead we are allowing ourselves to be ourselves, that type of self-acceptance might say, this is how my energy works, and I'm willing to honor it. This is where I have been conditioned, and I'm willing to unlearn it. This is where I have used my design as an excuse, and I'm willing to now grow based on that information, that insight. This is where I have spent years trying to be someone else, and I'm willing to come home. For generators, coming home may mean returning to the simple truth of the body, that yes, that no, that that from the gut. Do I have energy for this? May be the question that changes everything. Not, will they be disappointed, or can I justify this, or would a good person say yes to this, or what would my teachers or what would my community say? We don't have to do that. We don't have to say, have I already invested too much energy in this to stop? The sunk cost theory. Do I have energy for this is its own complete question. For manifesting generators, coming home may mean trusting that the path may not reveal itself in a straight line. It may mean that you are not broken because your life has all these chapters in it, instead of it just being one long read from beginning to end. Seasons, chapters, phases. You're not immature because you are evolving. You're not irresponsible because you are designed to respond, adjust, and move. You're literally here to have a little bit of that hot mess available around the clock. But you're responsible for how you move. And that's one of the big differences that I love to explore here. Because human design should not give us an excuse to be intolerable to others. It should not make us less accountable. Instead, it should make us more honest, because we're speaking from a place, we're speaking as a person who we understand more deeply and better, and that we have had proof of how we operate in the world can work. It can have its place. We're using this new map. So as generators and manifesting generators, we are learning to let our responses guide us. And then we do something with that feedback, with what we hear, with what we learn, with what we know, with the yes or no, the that we're honoring. That is action over analysis. We're taking the insights and we're giving them a place in the world. We're letting them have meaning. And that's where the chart starts to become embodied in us. It's where human design stops being content and starts becoming a practice, but not a rule book, not a performance, not a script, not a spiritual identity, but a mirror, a resource, a tool for how our unique energy frequency is interacting with the world and what's being created. A mirror, a structure, an experiment. For me, I spent 5 years learning my type before I taught anything, before I made a single piece of content about this. I treated it like this long experiment, and I was going to learn this thing from the inside out, because human design provides a way back into the life that has been waiting underneath all of these ways that we've been conditioned and unlearned and programmed away from ourselves. You are the expert on being you, just like I am the expert on being me. And human design can help us listen. It can help us pay attention. It can help us navigate with what we're learning from self-study. Coaching can help you take the information from a human design chart and begin applying it in real ways. But the life is still yours to live. If you like this, please leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and drop any ideas that you'd like for more human design or overhealed, healed enough content that you'd like to see me create. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you all.